Everyone, welcome to Mindsight, where me and Anghelo are going to be coming on for episode 3, and we're switching seats, so at least I'm going to be able to get your side, your journey, and I'm really actually excited to get into your experiences. I feel like I've learned a lot from you, and you've learned a lot from me, and I have a lot of respect for you, and just the way that you and I have very similar goals. This is something I really want to get into, and I feel like the audience has a lot to learn.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this episode. It's going to be a bit different being the guest instead of the host, but I hope the value can be provided to all the listeners from my journey. But there's a lot to unpack, so I'm really excited. So thank you for having me on. Let's get into it.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to give you some information about you. Anghelo is a second-year computer science student at the University of Southampton. And growing up, as you've also described, you're like a chubby kid with zero aerobic base, and you've been carrying a heavy mental package and lack of confidence that can come with that, which is understandable. I mean, I feel like many people going through that struggle, even myself, I had a period. This is something where I feel like having an insecurity, I at least want to get an understanding of how someone else could go through that and deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone goes through insecurities at some point in their life, lack of confidence or any specific type of insecurity. It could be the way you look, the way you feel. There's loads of different ways. And I think it's important to actually hear about people's journeys and how they deal with that insecurity. So, yeah, I'm really happy to be here and be open with how I went through that journey myself.
All righty. Well, let's get into it. So, just for like the starting point of your life, growing up, as we've said, you were a chubby kid with zero aerobic base. You admitted that you struggled heavily with confidence because of how you looked.
Yeah.
When you looked back at that version of how you used to be, what do you think that past you would say to you or see? Like, what would you think seeing you now as you are?
Well, to be honest, I don't think he would have even been able to imagine that I'd be running marathons. Like, I can't even imagine myself from last year that he would be continuing to run marathons. As soon as I finished Southampton Marathon, I was like, I'm never running a marathon ever again. This is the hardest thing in my life.
Really?
And now I do it for fun. So
it's crazy, like that shift that you can have.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously, I said that as soon as I finished the marathon, and I was in bits afterwards. So obviously that played a big role. But it's just crazy. And I don't think past me would have even thought I would get into running, let alone even doing like a small distance, like a 5 kilometers, which is not a small distance, by the way, but in comparison to the marathon, I don't think I would have even done a 5k. So to be running marathons and in marathon training, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm happy with the person I'm becoming.
Oh, well, I'm actually curious though, considering that because you said you didn't expect yourself to get to that level.
Yeah.
What initially made you get to that level, like want to push it further?
Yeah, so initially I was quite fascinated by some of my friends, Kio, Eron, Birishi, who ran for Helsinki Half. Mm-hmm. And that was in, I think, June of 2024. Yeah, 2024. Okay. And I saw that and it was always in the back of my mind. So I'd initially put on a bit of weight, I think, just before Christmas when I was the first few months at university. And I knew that running would be a really easy way to kind of burn calories, and I wanted to have a structure in my training.
Yeah.
So that was the initial point where I was like, I want to sign up to a marathon, because I had that kind of motivation in the back of my mind that my friends did a half, and I also wanted to lose weight. So it kind of combined, and that's why I wanted to do the marathon. Now, going back to your question about what made me do this even more and continue with that training was, I think, the way I feel after a long run, after a track session where I get those endorphins and I get that feeling that I put in some really hard work and that feeling of actual being fast.
Yeah.
I think that feeling of, actually running for 1 kilometer straight at a really fast pace, being out of breath.
Post-euphoria is a very nice feeling, and especially when you prove to yourself that you can do it.
Yeah, and I think with running is that each week you've got a different type of workout, but each week you're kind of proving to yourself that you can do those hard paces and that you see that progress. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That feeling of seeing yourself week in, week out improve, and the feeling of actually feeling fitter, if that makes sense.
Of course.
That you can last longer, or that you can run faster, I think is such a cool feeling. And that's something that I'm chasing in a way.
Yeah, although I'm not into running at the moment, I still remember how it felt.
Yeah.
Because to be fair, I'm still recent. Like, keep in mind, last year I was still running because of the military.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, okay, obviously you're not going to feel this every single time because you've had your bad sessions, which we're going to get into later. But those days that you go in feeling fresh and you, as you said, you feel fitter, I can't really describe that feeling, but it's just, to me, it's just, you just feel really confident in your ability for that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like you're going to slow down. You don't feel like you're going to get out of breath.
As
perhaps.
quick. Yeah,
as quick.
And I think it goes back to that word that you just said, which is confidence, that doing the sessions week in, week out builds that confidence in yourself that you can endure and you can do hard things. And I think that feeling is something that a lot of runners and a lot of athletes generally really look forward to.
So your marathon prep, that obviously in the winter, it was windy, rainy, like you know how it is during that period.
Yeah,
and
in the UK.
For running, it must be bad.
Yeah.
So at least on those days where your body was, very fatigued as well, and plus the weather, I feel all of that compounding, you really need to understand how to tackle that. What were you saying to yourself to be able to get through that?
Yeah, so actually, funnily enough, I think the first month or two, so January or February, most of my runs were done on the treadmill. Like, I remember posting a story on Instagram where I ran a half marathon on a treadmill.
I remember this actually.
Yeah. Because it was actually coming from Cyprus, being in very warm temperatures for the majority of the year, having 270, 300 days of sun, to go to a country where it's constantly cold, constantly rainy, windy. The conditions weren't ideal, and it was very difficult for me to overcome that these conditions were such a challenge for me. So that's why I kind of wanted to have some sort of comfort by doing it indoors. Obviously, once I started doing the runs outdoors, even if it was really cold, I realized how amazing it is to feel those emotions outdoors instead of indoors, where it's just so monotonous. I remember how it was just looking outside a window for 21 kilometers, looking at the cars go left, right, and I was like, wow. So after going outdoors and then coming back and doing a session on the treadmill, I was like, I can't do this ever again. I did a 5K once. I think it was after the marathon. So that was back on the treadmill. And I was like, how did I do a half marathon on a treadmill?
To be honest, when it comes to long distance, it's just described as, you're losing your mind because that's very repetitive, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never run it, but I can imagine it.
But 2 hours on a treadmill, just looking at a window was just...
Yeah.
I looking back at that now, I actually can't tell you or describe to you how I did that, because I remember I was getting comments on my Instagram story saying, bro, what's wrong with you? what demons are you fighting? And honestly, I don't know how I got through that, but I did. And I think it built me up, and it really helped with my training, especially because I think the treadmill takes up some of the load that your body, that pavements doesn't. I think with pavements, all the load that goes through your ankles, your feet, and then up to your shins is a lot greater than on the treadmill. So actually, looking back at it now, initially being on the treadmill maybe made sure that I wasn't getting injured as quickly as I would have done that I was outdoors. But going back to answer your question fully, what was I telling myself was just get out the door. Because I think the first few kilometers until you warm up are the hardest, but once you get out there and once you kind of warm up, you're getting to a bit more comfortable, you're not alone. Because I think also going out there by yourself, sometimes you have that fear. So that's why I would put my headphones on quite loud, listen to a podcast or listen to some music that would make me feel like I'm not alone out there. And I think that was quite important with me, with getting that progress and going out the door.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you were running by yourself, I think it would be very difficult, but I think you've also had many training sessions that you could at least run with a partner or with a friend. Yeah. I think that's really like a very nice way to help you, I guess, maybe this isn't the right way to say it, but hold yourself accountable, because 100%. If I know that you're relying on me for the run, I'll be like, okay, you know what? Tomorrow morning, I have to wake up. I have to run with Anghelo. Yeah. So holding yourself accountable and finding a reason for it I think it's a very good way to just generally motivate yourself.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't tell you the amount of times where I wake up that morning and I'm like, I really can't be arsed. I'm really just don't have that motivation. But then I know, oh, I'm going out with this friend or that friend and we're doing that together. We're going into the pits together. And also I get to see this friend. I think that's also something that's really cool, is that you get to do something difficult, but you get to do it together. And that way it kind of takes the weight off your shoulders of the load because you're sharing that together.
True, yeah.
And as you said, it holds you accountable, because if I hadn't had that run and I had to show up with my friend, I would have pushed it back, delayed it, may have skipped it. But because I had my friend, it keeps me accountable. And I think that's so important.
Accountability, even for whatever else you're doing, when you have a reason for something, it allows you to hold on to it. And you know what? This might be corny, but I feel like maybe you've done this with writing stuff down. But what I do, which could be a nice trick, is I have an accountability wall.
Nice.
So I get these, what are they, like these stickers or whatever they are? Sticky notes.
Yeah.
And I write down everything I want to achieve and when I expect it by, and that holds me accountable.
Yeah. And I think also seeing that progress week in, week out helps with this accountability, because you know, if you show up to those sessions, if you do the training, if you put in the work, you can see that progress week in, week out, and that helps you keep accountable for the future sessions that you know are going to be difficult, because you know on the other side of that, you're going to become faster, you're going to become better, you can become stronger. Yeah.
I also want to get into, with your computer science degree, since you're a second year, how are you able to balance it though with, you know, the training and obviously with your studies?
Workload. Yeah. No, that's a great question actually. I think how I like to do it is kind of time blocking my life. So I like working in the mornings and training in the morning, So how I would do it is before my 9 a.m. lecture, I'd wake up at 6, go out the door by 7:15, go on my run, come back, shower, and then go.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to kind of time block, because you know as soon as you wake up, you've got to eat, you have to have your coffee, make sure you go toilet, and then go out the door.
It's this pressure, which is actually, it's a nice type of pressure if you allow it to be. Yeah.
As long as you don't let it consume you, but you know that in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you've got to do this, this, and this. It becomes a habit. And once it becomes a habit, it becomes easier. And that kind of stress gets taken off, because it's not something you have to remember. It's just something that comes automatic.
Yeah.
And once you know, I think it takes 30 days to build a habit. Once you have those 30 days where you do it consistently every single day, at the end of it, you know, okay, 7:15, I'm out the door, 8:15, I'm back, shower, take my food, go to uni. And I think having that balance of time blocking is really, really important. Knowing that this time is for training, this time is for learning and doing lectures. And I think that's really helped me with balancing uni work with training.
It does wire your brain,
definitely.
100%. Because a lot of people wake up and first thing they do is roll to the side, open their phone, scroll through the notifications. If you're waking up with the pressure, as we've said before, I'm just fully agreeing with you on this.
No. I think pressure is always a good thing. I think even with setting goals, for example, if you set a goal that's quite ridiculous or something that, you know, a lot of people would have thought that's not possible. It kind of, that delusion is something that's needed so that you can go and achieve that goal. And I think you have that something similar with your powerlifting, right? You have that delusion, and I think that's kind of what spurs you on to do
100%. Go harder. There's nothing more of... This is it's like a healthy flex. I mean, it depends on who you say it's to.
Yeah.
But I love saying the points to people that you can always do more, because when I feel pressured and I say to even myself, like that thought can come, like, oh my God, I have so much work to do today. I could technically still be doing more.
Yeah.
If you're asking or wondering why, how, wake up earlier, or the time that you spend, you know, scrolling through your phone while eating, you can time things and save a lot of time.
And I think time is something that's really limited, so you have to be really efficient with your time. And I think having more pressure makes you realize the time that you can gain from taking it out from other things and being more efficient with it and putting it into, you know, your uni work or your training. There's always ways that you can gain time, and I think this pressure makes you more efficient and allows you to save time and put it into more efficient.
For sure. If you have personal experiences personal struggles which could affect that, it's fully understandable. But if you do have a certain schedule there is a way to save time.
100%.
So just, it's very hard to get used to in the beginning. And I'll be honest, when I first came to university, so because you're second year and I'm a first year, your first year was essentially very different to how it is now for you.
Yeah.
But my discovery stage, in the beginning, I really had to force myself to learn how to save time, how to manage my time.
Yeah, 100%.
And once you do that, honestly, so much more work can be done.
Yeah,
And it's
you realize
organising-
it, don't you? Like, if I save time here, I can become so much more efficient, so much more productive, and I can get more stuff done. And I think that kind of motivates you. You realize how much more you can do throughout the day, and how much more you can push the limit that you set for yourself. You know, so I think it makes you more productive, and I think this pressure, as you mentioned, is such a good thing for us.
Yeah. And guys, at least for me, time passes in the day so fast.
Yeah.
So at least Anghelo, what he's doing, I was doing it initially, but because of the work I've put on myself, I do work later at night. So for me, I kind of have to wake up a little bit later. Later for me is 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Where to some people, by the way, they still like, that's so early. Like, like some people do say that, at least to me. I'm like, no, it's not. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., because we were waking up at 6 a.m. every day in the military.
Right.
And that's what allowed me, for a fixed schedule for a year, to understand how much more you can achieve in your day, how much more you can gain from your day. Once you have that perspective and understand it, then I think you're going to want to actually wake up earlier.
Yeah, that's it. I think you want it yourself because you see it. But I think this all comes down to reflecting on the processes and reflecting on where you can save time or where you can do other things. And that reflection is really important, not just in time efficiency and what we've just mentioned, but in everything that we do. I think it's really important to reflect on training, what went right, what went wrong, how can we improve, and reflecting on the processes is how you're going to get better and how you're going to get further in life.
Mm-hmm. And even because I'm actually like this, which is true, but I also understand the morning. But a lot of people have told me, and even some friends of mine, I work better at night. It's very peaceful. It's true. I understand why, because at least one main reason is like everyone's sleeping, so I don't feel pressure. The same thing applies to the morning, though.
100%.
And I think having a very organized morning with no distractions while other people are still sleeping, if you start off your day well, the same way we were talking before about you waking up and have that pressure to start your day, when you get into your other main tasks throughout the day, because you already had a very nice, productive morning, it's going to keep compounding. It's very, very good.
It's the accomplishment, I think, in the morning. As soon as you do something, it's like the same thing as making your bed or going training. You know, once you get these accomplishments and also you feel like you've done something in the morning or at the start of your day, it compounds, like you said, and you feel more productive throughout the day.
Okay. Well, I do want to get into your 240-kilometer race.
Yeah, let's go.
What we've all been waiting to hear. So, you and 3 friends of yours, remind me their names?
So we had Pano, Petro, and Costantino.
Okay. So all 3 of you decided to run a 240-kilometer race, as I've said, under 24 hours. Whose idea was this, first of all?
Yeah, so this was mine. There's a clip. We were at a race, me, Pano, and Petro, and we kind of... They had no idea about this, but I was thinking about this for a few weeks because I saw Team 247, they ran across Iceland, and I think under 2 days, which is crazy. Yeah, but they were running much faster than we were. They were running like 4 minute 30 paces.
I mean, it even sounds like Aura, Team Iceland. Come on.
Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, there's a clip of once we finished the race, I was like, us 3, and I think initially we were going to be 6 of us, but then I said, let's make it 4 of us. We're going to run 240k across Cyprus, and that's what we did. So it was my idea. We did it in a relay format, so every 30k, one of us would swap out just to keep the legs as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
But being sleep deprived, because we started at midnight on one day, and we had to finish within the same day, so that meant that we couldn't sleep the night before. So we were running on maybe, by the end of it, we were like 40 hours in, not slept.
Jeez.
That was tough.
When you had initially suggested it to the guys, though, maybe you mentioned it before, but if you could elaborate a little bit more on their reaction to you initially suggesting doing the race.
Listen, I think the boys that I chose, they're very... they see a goal and they're like, that's cool, let's do it. Anything like fitness related, they're like, yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. But Bano later admitted that he actually didn't believe that it was going to happen.
Yeah. He had that smirk on the camera, like, oh, I have to admit myself now.
Because we asked him in the interview, and he was like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't expect it. But yeah, he said, naturally, anything fitness oriented, he says yes. So
yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think once we got into the Cyprus Mail and Anghelo Eleftheriou, which are like the two biggest newspapers here in Cyprus, they actually started believing it because it was written, there's proof of it, and there's no going back now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about accountability.
Yeah.
Come on, if you saw Daily Mail is saying about you guys, I think, what was the first thought in your head once you saw that?
I was like, wow, like, yes, we're doing this, but now we're doing this, you know?
Now you have to do it.
It's accountability, like we said. It's like, even if one thing I've started doing now is because I've got a goal at the end of the year, which we'll come to, which is running sub 3 in Valencia. I write every day, or I try to remember to write every day. I'm going to run sub 3 in Valencia in 2026.
I agree with that.
And once you kind of write down your thoughts on paper, I feel like it starts becoming something you really believe in, and then eventually a reality.
Yeah, I mean, what's that saying, or not a saying, but it's been proven of convincing your mind. Like, your brain knows, but you have to convince your mind.
Because it comes back to when you set something that's so high and something that's unbelievable, at first you fear it, but then once you kind of write it down, you start to believe it. And when you start believing it, you start to feel confident that you will go and do it. And you have that arrogance about you, which I think sometimes is necessary. Mm-hmm. You need to have that self-belief, arrogance, not cockiness. There's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, but having that confidence within yourself that you have the ability to do it. It's just about putting the work. Yeah.
And I do believe you're manifesting that reality.
Yeah.
For example, I was trying my best to manifest, what I wanted for Bucks.
Yeah.
To qualify. To those who don't know, and this is your first time on the podcast, I just do powerlifting, and I was trying to qualify for Bucks, and I needed a specific subtotal to get between a 4-month period. Although I didn't get that total I wanted, it was still, as you're saying now, this belief in convincing yourself you can do it.
Yeah.
Although the manifestation doesn't have to fully apply to 100% achieving it, I was it's just that specific belief and thought process allows you to progress a lot faster than you would have without that mindset and approach.
I'll tell you what though, like when you spoke about this on your YouTube video, I feel like when you speak about it this way and you write this stuff down, I feel like you go much further than if you hadn't, when you have this self-belief in yourself, you can just take it to a different level. And when you kind of evaluated the EM Classic at the end of your video, and you were like, doesn't matter because I know I'm going to hit this,
Yeah.
I feel like having that I know I will is that confidence and arrogance that you need in yourself to reach to an elite level, which I think you're trying to do.
Like, yes, it's arrogance, but it's also confidence.
Yeah.
And just being confident, man, I mean, so much you can do.
100%.
I want to know about the most difficult experience that you've had during the actual 240-kilometer race.
Yeah.
You want to walk us through that?
So it was really funny when we started, because I started on a gravel road. I wasn't on any pavement or anything. It was in a national forest park. So there was no lights, no nothing. It was an agamas. So how I could see was I had a headlight, and that was shining in front of me, and we also had this the support car that the boys were in that was shining the light in front of me. So I could only see a few meters in front of me. However, what was the darkest moment is that when I was running, for some reason, because they were doing some sort of road works, and obviously it's gravel and there was no water, so they actually brought water and put it onto this road, and that became mud.
Oh, no.
So I was running in mud, and then we had to transition and move to running on the beach, and I was just like, come on. We started off late. This is happening now, and it felt like everything was kind of falling apart, and it meant that I had to start, kind of.
You lost a lot of focus.
Yeah.
Did you lose focus?
Yeah, you lose focus, and then those negative thoughts start building, because you're like, everything going to crap.
Yeah. I think you can talk about it if you like, but you and your friends, you wanted a very good environment, so to be like very healthy and good energy.
It's so important.
Yeah, and that must have definitely helped your focus. But this coming in now and essentially jeopardizing that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I'm just mentioning it. I feel like as an athlete, especially for some very important lifts or runs you need to do, you have to have that focus.
Yeah.
So at least that, how did you at least, you know, did you have like an off switch? For example, when you had these experiences?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and I spoke about this in my interview afterwards when I was reflecting on it, that you need to have this sort of off switch where you're like, right, forget about it, you know?
Yeah.
There are things that are going to come in front of you that you cannot control, but it's up to you that when these things come, how you deal with it, how you approach it, and how you get over it. And I think it's so important to have that off switch where you're like, all right, it's happened. I can't do anything about it. But what I can do is how I change my attitude going forward and moving past it. So when this mud happened, when we had to go onto the beach, I was like, okay, this is the situation I'm in. I want to do this. I put myself in this situation, and I'm going to make sure that I finish my 30K and give it to the next person. And I think it's really important to have that mindset that even in a race or even in a lift, let's say if you're doing powerlifting and you fail your first lift, to have that flick and be like, okay, whatever's happened, I can focus on my second lift now. Let me lift that now. And I think it's so important. It happens in so many different sports that you have to have that off switch where you, as I mentioned, you erase it from your memory and you look at what you can focus on and put your energy into next.
Yeah. Don't you agree that this specific thing, this mentality, you could apply it to daily life?
Yeah, 100%. And everything that you do to whatever's in your control, you can maximize that. But whatever's out of your control, there's no point thinking about it. There's no point dwelling on it. No point dwelling on it, I think, is really important, because once you let those negative thoughts into your mind, you're asking for trouble. That's why I think it's really important to stay positive in everything that you do.
People that I really like being around are people that when something happens to them, it could even be something tiny, but when you notice how someone responds to something which can be perceived as negative, but then it's almost as if it wasn't negative at all.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I dropped my computer right now, like some other person that was, I guess, more miserable or whatever, they'd be like, oh, like they'd get really angry.
Yeah.
If I dropped it, I'd be like, uh-oh, but I'd start laughing with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just these tiny reactions to stimulus.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. Just applying it to daily life as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. So when that Team 247 ran across Iceland, one of the runners hadn't really done any ultra or anything. He was a track runner, right?
Okay.
So they had a headwind of, I think, 40 kph or something like that the entire time. So it was really, really difficult. But the other runners in that team were literally telling him, right, just stay positive. If you're in pain, you're not in pain.
Yeah,
Be
exactly.
delusional, you know.
Delusional.
You know, and I think it's tricking your mind, which is the most important thing. And I think that you can take in sport and into daily life, as we mentioned.
Do you like aggressively speak to yourself? Like, for example, for my 270, I had a 270 kilo deadlift, which I failed, but I was saying to myself, there is no way you're not going to get that off the floor. Like, you cannot fail this right now.
And to be fair, that did work, because you got it off the floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, especially for me on my track sessions, which are killer lactate, which is me pushing to, like, in your sense, it would be 90% of your RPE or 10 out of 10 of your RPE. For me, I'm like gritting my teeth at the end. I'm like, come on. You know, and I think actually it's not getting mad at yourself, but it's having that.
Well, yeah, exactly. As you said it, it's not even a word. It's just a.
You gotta have that dog in you. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, but to be a bit more serious now, though, with I guess the race and the struggles.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself?
I think I learned. I'm not going to say, that I can do hard things, but what I did learn is that, as I mentioned before, having that positive mindset really, really helps going through the struggles.
Yeah.
And I think you have to be delusional and kind of trick your mind. And once you can control your mind, you can control everything. So I think being in the pits, like, because I started at midnight until 3:30 in the morning. So there was 0 cars on the road when I got off the gravel road and went into pavements. And so seeing one car pass every 5 minutes was kind of scary. And I think that fear was something I had to get over. Like I said, there's stuff
You're facing yourself.
Yeah, you know, and having these thoughts, being on a road for a few hours and not being able to see anyone, you're by yourself. These are things where your mind will trick itself and you start to negotiate with yourself.
Exactly what I was going to say.
but you have to have these positive thoughts and not let those negative ones come in. And I think that's really important in sport, and how you can get to an elite level is by controlling your mind.
Yeah, having power over your mind is very important, because as you said, it could happen for different reasons. And it could even happen for, like, we don't have to get into this, it's just an example, but like lust, for example.
Yeah.
If you can have control over your mind, it's just, I guess, self-control. And you can tell yourself how it's going to be, rather than your mind just completely changing your thing. Because it can convince you. It actually convinces you.
It can convince you.
It puts thoughts in your head.
And it's like when you negotiate with your mind and you've kind of already lost.
Yeah.
So you need to, when you start to think about negotiating, you're like, no.
Yeah, exactly. The negotiation that's the way that the mind says it.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually like that you've had this experience, because I've never said this to someone.
Yeah. But I think you need to have these experiences and then reflect on those experiences to realize, when was it that you started thinking like this, when you started negotiating. And once you have this clarity, it's really cool when you can have these conversations, because I think everyone goes through it when they're struggling, that they start negotiating.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we seek comfort it's normal, we're seeking comfort when we're uncomfortable. But once you can say no to that and push past it, that is when you can start to do amazing things.
For sure. And running your 240 kilometer race, could it change your approach on how less intimidating even a marathon could feel to you?
Yeah, to be honest, I even feel it when I'm doing my marathon training and I'm doing my long runs, which are further than a half marathon distance. So like if I'm in training for a marathon, I'll go up to about 36 kilometers, 38. And doing that distance makes me think, right, a half marathon is 21. So when I race a half marathon, it's so much easier mentally. Obviously, it's still difficult when I'm pushing myself to the absolute max, but that distance itself isn't as much of a beast as I think it is, because I've done further than that. And the same thing applies when I've done the 240k. Although it was in a relay, so combined I did 60k, I know I can look back at that experience and be like, I've done 60k. So the full marathon,
it sets a new baseline for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that baseline, when you do harder and harder things, just gets raised, isn't it?
Yeah, you're raising the bar.
Yeah, and I think mentally that really helps with doing anything that's kind of less than that baseline, because it's more comfortable,
Yeah.
But although you're pushing yourself to do it faster, it's still not that, I'm dreading it, I've still got 10k left, because that 10k left on the second part of the half marathon isn't anything crazy, because you've been doing that so much. And I think that repetition builds confidence, and that repetition builds belief in yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And do you think that with raising the bar and many other athletes doing the same, could they at least have that acknowledgement for athletes that still aren't there on their level?
So what do you mean by that?
For example, I feel like an unhealthy way where I do believe the majority of the athletes, they're very supportive of each other, very good community. I just think that when they raise the bar, there could be some people which they get so into their own head of their goals where they're very high up that they forget to still think that, like, running even 15 kilometers is impressive.
Yeah, running a 5k is impressive, running a 10k is impressive. So I think it's really important to stay humble and remember that what we are doing is not normal. Running a marathon is not normal,
Exactly.
And sometimes I think because running has become quite a trend at the moment, you see flashy running shoes, they look nice, runners.
Yeah.
You've got the hybrid athlete that's kind of trending right now, where you can bench 100 kilos and also run a sub-3 marathon. But we have to realize running a marathon 42 kilometers on 2 legs is not normal.
Yeah.
And I think we shouldn't normalize it because it is becoming normalized. And I think it should not be, because it is such a big achievement. And I think by normalizing it, you're making it seem as if anything less than that or anything like that isn't anything special.
Yeah, it's not worth at least saying well done to yourself, because a lot of people hyper-analyze and I do that to myself, unfortunately, because it's a perfectionist mentality, which I believe you may have as well. And at least we acknowledge that we're like this. It's at least good to know, to at least tell yourself to stay, aware
Yeah, I think you have to have that awareness of what you're doing isn't normal and celebrate that you did something that's pushing yourself, that's out of your comfort zone, that's something difficult. Like 42 kilometers is something really difficult and needs training. You can't just do it on a whim.
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out with you, maybe.
We'll see.
But yeah, it's not normal. And I think it should be celebrated because it is a really cool thing.
Yeah, it's just, again, social media, seeing all of these levels online, it desensitizes you.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think to whoever has even run a 5K, I'll give you a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Well done to you, honestly.
At the end of the day, you got up and ran.
Yeah.
A lot of people are thinking about it. They're saying they're going to do it, and they're not doing it.
So the fact that you've done it, like, honestly, major respect from me.
Yeah, props to you. Well done for you. And especially if you're even posting about it. Like,
yeah, if you have the courage to do it as well.
Honestly, just be proud of yourself. Be confident. Do your thing. I mean, why is someone going to shoot you down for at least trying?
It's like anyone who is trying to better themselves, I don't see anyone why you should hate on that.
There's no reason to hate
someone is trying to better themselves, and you're looking down and hating on that. Like, to me, it feels wrong morally.
No, you're right. I don't appreciate it when I can understand that someone could have a lack of acknowledgement. At the end of the day, you hear what you have to hear. You don't need to respond genuinely. It does your own good for your own energy as well, 100%. And how you move forward.
I'll just give a quick example of this. Like, I saw a post where someone ran a 3 hour 47 minute half marathon, full marathon, sorry.
Full marathon.
And the comments in it, because like they were like really proud, they were showing their medal, and as they should celebrate that you ran a marathon. And the comments were kind of negative and hating on that, and I was like, I literally commented, don't listen to these negative comments because you ran a marathon, so props to you. And I think it is this, as we mentioned, that social media makes it look normal when I think it's 1% of the whole population have run a marathon or less than that. So if you have done, props to you.
Yeah, I agree. I want to talk about your Limassol Marathon.
Yeah. So I don't.
We're doing this for the benefit of the viewers, okay?
Yeah. Damn it.
Learn through your absolute failures.
Yeah, learn from my failures.
So you did go in with the goal of running a sub 309.
Yeah.
And you finished at a 341.
Yeah.
Okay, so just walk me through that race, please.
Yeah, that was a really difficult race for me. I started off way too hot. I was speaking with some of the kind of runners who were a lot better, like they were aiming for like a 255, 250, and they were saying, because I'm quite inexperienced in the marathon, I've only run one marathon before Limassol, so they were like giving me tips, make sure you don't go out too hot, make sure you keep your heart rate, especially for the first 5-10 kilometers, keep it steady. Did not listen to that advice. Damn it. And it showed towards the end of the race.
What's steady like though? Like, for example, is it steady, that's what's steady to you, or is it like is it a fixed pace which is steady?
No, I think steady is different for everyone. It's a pace that feels, it's not exactly difficult, you're not pushing 100%, but it's a pace where you can sustain for a good amount of time.
Like talking pace?
No, a little bit faster than that. But it's a pace where your heart rate doesn't shoot up. Like my heart rate, I was looking back at the data, it went to 177, which is close to
By what kilometer?
4.
Damn. So, maybe it was just adrenaline though.
No, 100%. So lack of sleep and adrenaline.
And always, Monster.
My coach.
And the gels.
My coach now, like, because he was messaging me prior to running it, he was like, you better not drink a Monster. And I was like, well, I've been taking it during my training. And he's like, okay, if you've been taking it during your training, do your thing. I don't want to tell you to change up your training.
Yeah.
But now that I've got him as my coach, he's like, you're never drinking a Monster ever again.
But we know what I think about him now.
But basically, all of these things, race day nerves, having caffeine, it always raises your heart rate and your adrenaline, which for some sports is really good. And I think adrenaline is really good, especially in endurance. But it gets your heart rate up when it should be kind of low. So that's why it's better to start off slower and then build to it. Like I told myself this, a marathon is not won at the beginning, but at the end. It's how you finish. And I did the opposite. I'll go into it a little bit of how the actual race went. So after that first 10K, I didn't feel great because I went out too hot.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized 10 to 12K in that this pace that I'm doing feels way harder than it should be. So then I should have backtracked straight away and been like, okay, let's just relax, because I think it's really important to also relax. Have that adrenaline, like I mentioned, control it, but be relaxed, be focused.
Know when it's time to start pushing again.
Yeah, and I think when I should have, there's something in running called a negative split. So in a marathon or in any race, the first half is slower than your second half.
Yes.
That's what I should have done. I should have gone out slower in my first 10K, get my heart to be normalized, running this certain pace, so that when I do bump it up and do go a bit faster, it's not that big of a change. If you think about it, on the start line, you're going from a heart rate of about 80 because you're just standing to going to 170.
Yeah.
So my heart rate went up 90 in about a few minutes. That's such a big change. But if you go slower and that change isn't as big, it's not as sudden, I think that allows you to adapt better and adapt easier to that change,
Yeah.
So,
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
While you were running though, because you're saying about 10 to 12 kilometers, and that's when it started to get, what do you say, difficult?
Yeah, and I started realizing that it wasn't really my day.
So is that when you realized that the 309 wasn't going to happen?
Yeah, I kind of realized then that wasn't going to happen. So I kind of went back to my B goal, my C goal.
Not seagull, guys. Seagull. say it again.
My B goal and my C goal.
Okay.
But I think the damage had already been done. And I think also looking back at it, because I only slept about 4 hours that day because we had to go up really early, I should have stayed in an Airbnb closer to the start line and made myself, just made the situation a lot easier for myself. By waking up earlier, having to eat earlier and do all of this stuff before heading to the start line, just wasn't maximizing the things that were in my control. So there's a lot of mistakes that I made the day before and on race day.
Were you thinking of this though during the race, or did you have to forget about that in that moment?
In that moment, I was like between 10 and 20 when I knew my goal of 309 was just not happening. I was really disappointed. But I knew that what's done is done. Like we mentioned earlier, it is very, very difficult, but you need to kind of switch off. And I did, and I was like, right, I knew my family was going to be at 30K, and I knew that I just wanted to go there and see them. So
of course,
that was like my main, I think in a marathon, because it's such a long distance, you have to have those like little targets in your brain. So you kind of split it up. So it was like, okay, I was planning on seeing you at halfway,
Yeah.
It's okay that I didn't see you, because I knew you were somewhere around. So I was like, he's probably like filming with the camera or whatever. So that was like my benchmark. Then 30K was another benchmark. And then I knew that after that I had only 12K left. And I've done 12K so many times in training, and that's that confidence. But unfortunately, the last 12 kilometers were really difficult. I think I realized afterwards that I wasn't strong enough in terms of my hips, in terms of my core, in terms of my hamstrings and calves. So this is also something that I don't see as a failure. It's progress, and it's me realizing that there were things that I could have done better prior.
Yeah.
So strength training, and it kind of showed me where I need to work on, and that's why I'm so grateful for finishing at 3:41, because it showed me exactly what I need to work on to get to that sub 3.
Well, I'm glad you didn't describe it as an actual failure, because a failure is never a failure if you learned something from it.
Exactly. It's progress. I was humbled by the marathon, and it made me respect the marathon distance a lot more, because as I mentioned earlier, marathon is becoming normalized, which it's not. It is a very humbling experience. I did get very humbled that day. But as I mentioned, I'm just so grateful for that experience, because it's allowed me to see where I need to improve.
Yeah. And if you did have your very good marathon, at least during that part, who says you wouldn't have made that mistake later on?
Exactly.
So be grateful you had it earlier on. So when you attend Valencia, a much better approach.
100%.
Be glad for your early failures.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're not going to have any other failures later on, but hopefully that happens during your training, where you have to be most autonomous, most self-reflective and analytical, and that's how you approach the race day.
100%. And at the end of the day, I was speaking about this with my coach now, is that the training is, the race is a reflection of your training. Yes, to a certain extent, yes. However, your race is based on one day. It's one session.
Yeah.
If you have a bad day, that's not a reflection of your training. Your training could have been amazing, you just have a bad day.
Exactly.
So yes, the race does show a lot, but at the end of the day, it's not the best reflection of how hard you worked. Like, I worked much harder than a 3:41. I just crumbled under those conditions. So I know that I'm going to come back stronger. I know where to work on, and I'm definitely going to get that sub 3 at the end of the year.
Well, considering you're aware of all of this, I know you mentioned already a few changes, but since you've done the Limassol Marathon now, what changes have you made? And do you have any more changes you want to be making?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I've now been working with a coach. So actually, this was really weird. 2 days after the Limassol Marathon, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go recover, do some active recovery, go on a little jog. He was like, no, you're going to take 2 weeks off running. I was like, 2 weeks?
I think that's very humbling.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Because imagine this, like, this was part of my daily life. I was running 4 to 5 times a week. And then to take 2 weeks off, I was like, bro, what do I do with my time?
Yeah. You may as well make edits of yourself.
But yeah, this working with a coach is really cool because firstly, you have that instant response to your training where someone who has more experience than you can tell you exactly what went well, what didn't go well, and you can tell him exactly how you feel and you get that instant response. And I'm really glad because he's done my goal of sub 3. He's basically going to go for a lot faster than that. He's aiming for 250, which is another big step up.
Wow.
So yeah, he knows what he's doing, and I'm really happy to be working with him. He's also told me a lot about my nutrition because he said, as a runner, you have to be really efficient.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm weighing, I think, approximately 82 kilograms. And he's like, nah, that is
To be fair, it's not
too
common for a runner to be that heavy unless you're hybrid.
Yeah. So he told me, you have to lose weight. You have to drop weight. And which is something I already knew that I had to do. But it goes back to what we were saying on the first episode with you. It's like that you know about it, but then it's understanding and taking action. And having your coach tell you you have to drop weight makes me think every day, I need to be losing weight. So even if I think about not cheating, but I don't know, going for a little snack, going for a bit more calories that day, I have it in the back of my mind, I need to drop weight. So,
yeah, but it's okay, guys. As athletes, you can have a cake, but it's just fuel for the workout. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the carbs for the workout. I know. But
don't take me seriously. You better not do that, guys.
But yeah, he's also told me massages every 2 to 4 weeks, which is like you told me about it as well. So it's again the things I knew, but actually putting them into action is a different thing. So I'm really happy that I've got this coach, and I'm really excited to be working with him over the next 8 months to hopefully get sub 3.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention, or I'd like to ask you about social media?
Yeah, let's go.
So we've been doing this for how long now?
Well, we started...
It's been a year, no?
About a year, right?
I started during the middle time of my time in the
Yeah, I think I
military.
started about a month after you. It wasn't much.
Yeah, it was pretty soon. And what made you want to get a camera, first of all, to start making content?
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to not have any excuses with with quality of my content. So I was like, okay, let me just get a camera because yes, my phone can be good, and loads of creators use their phone, and trust me, their content is really, really good and high quality. But my camera was a little bit beat up, so I was like, okay, let me just get an actual camera that is pure focus on producing quality, and that way I have no excuse that my content should not be to a high production quality. And from then I've been using the camera quite a lot, and I've been really happy with how my content has progressed. But I think it's one thing to have the equipment, it's another thing to execute it. So I think that's also something that I've been trying to learn, and something I will always continuously try to learn is how to execute and use my equipment to the maximum capability.
I want to ask you a more general question though.
Yeah.
But why did you start content creation?
Yeah, so I started content because I feel like I had been on a journey. It's like kind of what I'm coming onto the podcast for now, is to show that loads of people go on different types of journeys, and yes, they might be on a similar path, they might go on different paths, and I think these journeys are really cool to listen to and to watch because it inspires you, and you may be able to take that into your own experiences, or you might have had a similar experience, and that way you can relate. And I feel like building a personal brand where people can relate to you and you can help other people is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want to be doing, is helping people through my content, by inspiring them to go on their own journeys, or by them relating to their own journeys through me.
Do you feel like you're misunderstood as a content creator though? Because you're saying it's very fulfilling to you because you want to help people.
Yeah.
Do you think everyone's gonna see it like that? Or, for example, could they see you as someone that's being narcissistic, you're trying to show off, which is wrong, but if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think the perception people have is based also on their experiences of how they look at other creators. So they may assume that me posting my run, a fast run that I'm really proud of, is like showing off my run. But it's not about that. It's showing that, I started at a really low base and then now I'm running really fast. And it's showing that you can do this too. And
Yes.
It's really cool. So sometimes I think people do misunderstand the content, but it's based on the assumptions that your brain gets from looking at that content. And that's, again, based on the experiences that they've had in their lives. So sometimes, yes, I think I am misunderstood, but I think by pushing that message of inspiring you to go on that journey more and more through my content, I think people will then start to understand why I do this and why
Yeah.
it fulfills me.
When people see you online though, as a content creator, how do you want people to perceive you?
Yeah, I want people to perceive me as who I am. And I think one thing I'm trying to do differently is show people who I am and how I act. Because I think social media is a place where you can be a certain type of person.
And you're a lot more vulnerable.
Yeah, but you can also kind of, through your content, fake who you are. I think a lot of people have done that and can do that because, what you see is all there is. What I post online is all people can think about me because they don't know me, right? You know me because, we've been friends for loads of years.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what I want to branch and bridge, is what people perceive of me and who I am. I want people to actually understand who I am and what I believe in and basically how I operate, because I think everyone is different and I think every content creator is different, but what people see is all there is in your content. So if I show more of myself and people start to understand who I am and how I think of things, I think they're going to really understand me a lot more. So that's what I'm trying to work on.
Nice. Maybe you've already said this, but it's just so I can get the clarity myself. But for example, my question is, what specific message do you want to give as, like, for your personal brand?
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's the mental strength.
Yeah.
So for you, what is it?
To inspire people to actually go on a journey of doing something difficult. Because I think I learned so much about myself, and I think I grew so much as a person from doing something so difficult, such as running a marathon. I think that's what running is to me. It's a dimension where I go into to do hard things and to push myself and to become a better person at the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it's that growth journey that we go on that running helps me with. So it doesn't have to be in running. It doesn't have to even be in sport. But my message is to people to go and do hard things, because you just become a different, better person at the end of it. And I think it's something that we all need to go through.
And would you say, because this has happened for me, that social media and content creation has helped you as a person and socially?
Yeah, definitely. I think we spoke about it as well on episode 1 with you.
Yeah.
Is that I can't tell people how much I've improved socially with the way I use my hands, for example, when I'm speaking, the way I speak to a camera, the way I speak to my friends, the way I express how I think or how I feel. And it doesn't go in just in how confident you are and how you speak to people. It's also, when you are vulnerable, how you can express yourself based on how you feel. I think it's really important. I think it's really cool that you get this opportunity to improve yourself and the way you speak. And I think it's a really important thing. And personally, I think the tongue itself and the mouth is the way, when you actually speak it, you start to believe it more. And I think the more you speak about something, the more reps you do, the more you say, I will run a sub 3 in Valencia, the more you believe it and the more you're actually going to take the steps to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy with how I've progressed, and I'm really grateful for social media and for speaking to a camera because I've seen immense benefits.
Yeah, but like even just looking into the camera and seeing yourself, it throws you off in the beginning. I mean, how many times have you recorded yourself in the beginning and you're like, no, I just stop the video, delete.
No, the amount of times I've seen it and been like, what are you saying? Like, do you even know what you're saying?
I was like, hey guys, welcome to the... Oh, no. Again.
Oh, but yeah, no. That starts to kind of go away the more reps you do. So it is really funny though at the beginning. Like I've got videos of myself at the beginning when I started recording, and looking back at that, I just laugh so much because it's crazy to see how I used to present myself and how I used to speak compared to what I do now.
I think a very similar like type of feeling, so people can understand how it feels in terms of the embarrassment that you feel to yourself, is, you know, when you're like recording yourself in the bathroom, like flexing, then someone walks in and you quickly snatch the camera. It's almost that same thing. Like you get so, I guess, as we've said,
it's like embarrassed, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it was embarrassment of yourself.
Have you ever done it in the gym when, like, you think no one's around, so you take your phone out, you start posing, and then someone walks in, and you're like, ah, shit.
Yeah. There were a few times I tried to like push past it, where someone walks in the door and I continue flexing, but so then I continue and it's fine, but then they start talking to me like, oh, you know what? Anyways, with content creation though, like, do you have any like massive struggles that you had and things you learned from those struggles?
Struggles with kind of how to execute the message that I want to put out, and I think I still struggle with that.
That's a very good point.
I think sometimes the idea that I had isn't perfectly executed with the video, and me speaking to the camera. That's something that I want to improve on, because I think short form is so different to long form, because you kind of have to hook. There's a very strategic way of short form where you have to hook someone in, provide them value, and give a call to action.
Yeah.
And sometimes I struggle with that strategy and keeping someone engaged throughout for a short amount of time, because I feel like our dopamine is at like an all-time low.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's been proven.
And I think, even recently, Meta and Google have been taken to court because they've made their apps addictive.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that even with TikTok, the ability that you don't even need to search for something and you have content right in front of you, you can just scroll and scroll and scroll. It makes your dopamine receptors so, like you always need a flash of dopamine.
Yeah.
That's why if something gets even slightly boring or you lose that emotional response, you just swipe and go to the next one. Mm-hmm. And as a creator, it makes it so difficult because I know I can't put something in there that I might want to have in there because someone else might not receive it in the same way. Yeah. And therefore, I need to keep it fast and keep it flashy so that someone has that dopamine throughout the video and doesn't need to get more dopamine by scrolling. It
was said that these analysts for psychological...
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact name of the profession, but these people were behind the development of TikTok and Instagram, and the reason why TikTok and Reels are in that swipe motion, by the way, is to mimic gambling. For when you're pulling the thing and it's giving the start of the thing, it's the exact same feeling of that dopamine that you get from seeing the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
It's like in slots, isn't it?
It's the slots. It's literally slots.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, I feel like these are made to be addictive because if they're addictive, you spend more time on the app, they get more money, which I completely understand. Mm-hmm. But in some ways, it's inhumane.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so difficult for content creators, because when your dopamine is at an all-time low and you're just swiping, it develops this subconscious method of giving instant assumptions about creators.
Yeah.
So you see something for a millisecond and at the back of your mind, you're already judging and you swipe. So that's why, for those who don't understand, that's why it's been mentioned that you need a 2-3 second hook.
Yeah.
Because you need something that's very engaging for your dopamine to be able to watch and stay.
Exactly. It's that they need something that's so kind of crazy that makes them want to stay, or else they'll just swipe and go to the next one. So as creators, we kind of we have this like, it's like an angel versus like the devil on two shoulders, where you want to post something, but the algorithm and the people watching won't receive it in a positive way.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to have that balance. So it's kind of something I'm trying to work on, and something I'm trying to improve in my videos, so I don't have to put something out there just because I know the algorithm will receive it well.
Your mind can get very scrambled. So I think people that unfortunately are inexperienced in the beginning, and they don't have the right guidance, or even, I'm not saying this in a direct attack. It's not meant as something to say that's mean.
Yeah.
They might just not have a very strong mentality in the beginning. They may get too overwhelmed with how much you have to keep in mind, where that's why I feel like a lot of content creators just give up.
Yeah.
So you have to learn to continue. It's all of these traits that come together.
100%. I think as creators, we kind of have to talk more about our experiences to help other creators grow in the space, because there's so many people who I think kind of give up at the after posting for a while because the algorithm doesn't push their content, and they don't understand why the algorithm isn't pushing their content, or they don't understand social media and that there is this strategy, for example, or you have to have that hook, for example, in short form. Mm-hmm. So I think with more creators expressing themselves and their own experiences is going to help other creators, and I think bridging that gap is something that we need to be doing more.
I do want to ask you one final question for the general about social media. Like, do you have any dream sponsors?
Yeah, probably.
Another day.
Another Cadence. Yeah, so if Cadence would sponsor this podcast, or even just me generally, that would be like a dream come true. I use their products every single day. Yeah, put the logo in there. No, that would be amazing. That would definitely be my dream sponsor, because I feel like I just align with them, and the brand image, I would say, and what they stand up for is something that I stand up for as well.
Besides Cadence, is there anything else? I didn't hear if you mentioned it, sorry.
Yeah, besides them, because obviously they're a hydration company.
Yeah, this is hydration. Like, is there like a clothing or a supplement? Or does Cadence go for supplements too?
They produce gels, that's about it.
Okay.
So I think for a clothing company, I would go 247 Represent.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, so Represent is...
Oh, I do not Represent, sorry.
Yeah, so 247 is like their activewear or sportswear part of Represent. So I would love that they would be like my dream, 100%. Okay.
But if another higher brand came and they offered you wouldn't say no, right? Or maybe you don't want to answer to stay safe.
For me, on a more general thing, is if I align with the brand image and what they stand for as well. That's respectable. If those two things are aligned, then there's no reason why we can't work together.
I do agree with that though, because I was offered this one to be an affiliate.
Yeah.
Although it was a smaller company, if I did feel like I linked a lot with them and I liked the clothing brand itself, I would have said yes, but just because you're offered doesn't mean you have to say yes. Yeah,
I mean, a few months ago, I was asked if I wanted to be an ambassador for one of these companies, and I just felt like it wasn't what I was looking for, so I'm just not going to work with them, because it's also about being authentic with your audience. Yeah. And if you're not using, it's like with Cadence, I use their products, so I would love to be an ambassador because I know how much they've helped me, and it's more authentic and truthful if I'm saying that to my audience. Whether because if I'm not using their products and I don't really enjoy using their products, then I'm lying to my audience, and I wouldn't want to do that, because then I'm not real, I'm not authentic, I'm not being the real me.
Okay, it's good to hear. I like that. So I want to talk about nutrition.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you get deeply fatigued, or when you get deeply fatigued or stressed, your brain defaults to seeking comfort in food, which causes your weight to bounce around. How does that mentally affect you, seeing your physique change? Yeah,
so that's something I kind of struggle with, because as you mentioned there, I do kind of seek comfort with food. So sometimes I will see my weight bounce around. Like I've been at last year after marathon, I was at like 73 kilos, 74. So quite low. And now I'm like, yesterday I weighed in at 84 after a run. So you can see my weight bounces between those two between 72 and 84. And that's quite difficult because looking in the mirror, you can see you've put on fat hair.
Yeah.
But then you can also see, like when I was 72, I wasn't really strength training at all, and I had lost so much muscle than when I was at a much higher weight a few years ago. And seeing that, going from having that muscle and losing that, and then having to put that back on, or seeing the fat drop and then putting it back on, and then knowing you have to lose it again, it's that cycle all the time. And seeing that in the mirror sometimes is like, I've been there and I looked great and I was confident, and then I've put it on.
I also think having body dysmorphia, if that's what you associate it with, I think body dysmorphia gives you a type of blindness. For example, although I didn't have it to the extent that you did, I did experience it when literally 5 months ago or 4 months ago, I was 78 kilos.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people get in their head of they want to, get their abs. Like, it's a more general type of thing.
I think abs is what everyone's looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, abs is, I think it's a bit too, what could be the word for that?
It's like the ultimate end goal for everyone, but
yeah. I think you learn to, you make yourself neglect other things.
Yeah, 100%.
So I was very fixated 4 or 5 months ago. Because as a powerlifter, you don't really get to see your abs if you're at a specific weight class category.
Yeah.
Which it isn't entirely true, by the way, because genetics can play a factor.
Yeah.
But at least for me, I barely get to properly see my abs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It was since I was preparing for competition, which was max, I could at least lose weight, and I guess have a bigger advantage with being a lighter weight in a weight class to then have a better GL points, what it was.
Yeah.
I had my abs and I was happy. But what I didn't realize after bulking, I only realized after bulking, and I was afraid of bulking. Now that I saw my videos, and I did the transition video a few days ago, then I realized how much size I lost everywhere else.
Yeah.
So in your mind, yes, you have your abs, but you might be telling yourself you look better just because you see your abs.
Yeah, exactly.
You forget other things.
It's exactly that. It's like you're content because you see abs, but then once you kind of put on the size, you're like, yeah, I might have lost my abs, but look at where else I've gained,
Yeah.
And I think, as you mentioned, as long as we have abs, we're happy, but
yeah,
it's not really the case sometimes. Like, we need to remember that by having abs, you kind of lose elsewhere,
You had quite a big change in your physique, to be honest, because obviously I know Anghelo personally, so I've seen his journey. I understand it a lot more. But when you said that you were 73 kgs, do you remember the first thing I said to you when I saw the pictures?
You were like, you've lost so much.
Yeah, obviously I didn't mean it in a mean way. I was trying to help you. I just said, I'm Anghelo. Like, yes, you're running, but keep in mind, because how much you're running, nutrition is very important. And you had lost at the time a lot of muscle. You've put on a lot more muscle, which is very good. But yeah, losing that muscle in that moment, I realized that difference.
You know what it was though? It's because I was in a really bad place mentally with nutrition. I was on 1,700 calories.
Wow.
1,700 calories.
Yeah, that's not a lot for a runner.
That's not a lot for anyone.
A runner plus gym. Yeah.
That's not like my base metabolic rate now, without doing anything, is 2,300 calories. So to be having 1,700 calories whilst, I don't know, doing like a 10 or 15K where I burn another 1,000, like, it's just not healthy.
Yeah, how are you going to put on muscle?
Not just that, it's like, how are you going to function throughout the day?
Cognitive health.
I would go to bed hungry, but I was just like, okay, just get through this. Like, do you know how bad my sleep was bad? My hormones were all over the place. There's just so many things that go wrong when you're under fueling and under eating. That's why after going through that experience, I now know fuel your body is the most important part. Yes, you can lose fat, and that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. As I said, I'm trying to cut down to about 75, 76, because that's where I'm more efficient as a runner. However, there is a process, and you do that gradually. You don't just go to 1,700 calories and hope to lose weight like 1.5 kilos a week. That is not good. It's not sustainable. Your organs need food as well. Everything, your energy is based off your food.
There's many people, unfortunately, with that, they don't see food properly as fuel.
Yeah.
And it's so important. So at least you, along your journey discovering that, Like how much more different though was your approach in the beginning compared to now? Like we've understood the beginning, but like now, for example, how many calories are you eating? What foods have you changed that you realized really help you for your runs?
Yeah, so really good question. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I was on 1700. Now I don't track, but I'm probably about 1,000 more a day at least.
Okay.
So if my base metabolic rate's at 2300, if I'm running, I'll have a bit more because, as I mentioned, food is fuel, right? So if I'm going into a run under eaten, if I've not eaten enough for that run, I'm not going to perform well. So before that run, I know I've got to eat high carb, a little bit of protein, just because it depends how far out my run is. But anyway, mostly carbs. And now I don't fear carbs.
Yeah.
Before I used to eat carbs and be like, oh, but it's going to hold more water. I'm going to see the weight go up. Now I don't think like that. I'm eating to fuel my session. Food is my fuel. So I'm eating a lot more carb now because as a runner, you burn so many calories, and then just sticking high protein as well. Like I think I'm at 180 grams to 200 grams of protein a day. And then the rest is just carbs and fats. And I think having that structure, like in the mornings, as I said, I wake up and I go on my run. So I'll have 250 grams of basmati rice, I'll have banana, I'll have honey, I'll have lots of high carb, even sugar. I don't fear sugar because I know I need it as a carb source for my running.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'll go with the high protein, I'll go with the high carb again, and fats, because it's good to replenish after a run as well. And that's something that's really underestimated and not talked about enough, is you need to eat.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing, is to be eating and fueling for your runs.
Okay, I want to talk about Valencia.
Yeah.
Because this is I want to say it's not an end goal, but it's definitely one of your hugest achievements yet.
It's the A goal, pretty much, for the end of the year.
Okay. Well, it's, for those who don't know, your goal is a sub 3 hour marathon in December.
Yes.
So how many months is that from now? 8?
8 months from now, yeah.
Okay, so sub 3 is a huge milestone to achieve. And for, obviously, why Valencia?
Valencia might be one of the most popular races in running. It's not like a world marathon major. There is, I think, 7 world marathon majors. It's not one of those. It is one of the most PB races out there, though. What I mean by this is that there's not much elevation. I think it's one of the flattest courses.
Okay.
As well as this, there's a lot of big sponsors, big names. It's not a marathon that you can just sign up and go into, like Southampton was for me last year, or Limassol was. You actually have to be lucky enough to get in from the ballot. And that ballot happens the year before the marathon. So when the marathon ended in 2025, I think it was about the 7th or 8th of December, then the registration opened for the next year, which is kind of crazy. I was lucky enough to be selected, and as I said, there's a lot of big names that are going to be going there in terms of sponsors.
Nice.
A lot of big names in terms of content creators, influencers, and elite runners, because everyone knows this is the most, if you're going to get PB, this is your best chance. So all the elite runners are going to be there as well. So it's something I'm very excited for.
It must be a crazy environment. Like, is this your first ever event where you're properly in a competitive atmosphere? But like properly?
I would say yes, because Southampton Marathon was definitely not a PB course. It was very hilly. Limassol, I think the fastest runner was a 2:30, whereas, probably I think Kipchoge's was 1:59. Okay, that wasn't official but anyway, the 2:30 is quite far from the fastest world marathon. Yeah. So with that being said, I think Valencia is pretty much the best environment you can be in.
Cool. But why is running a sub 3 so important to you?
Now, running a sub 3 is really important to me because I knew I wanted to set a big goal. And I also wanted to kind of keep myself accountable. And I think setting such a delusional goal of sub 3, it's like a benchmark for so many runners, is hitting a sub 3 hour marathon. So that's why one of the reasons. Another reason is to keep myself accountable, because I know it's such a big gap from where I am now to where I want to be. So that means I'm going to have to really put in some sessions to get there. And working in with a coach is definitely going to help, but it's now up to me to put in the work to get there. So again, it just goes back to setting something so far-fetched and so having to be so delusional to get there is really important.
Yeah, I believe you can get it, man. 8 months is a very long time.
Yeah, but it just means, from like my coach said, from now on, sleep by 10, wake up by 6. You know, be really disciplined with your sleep. Sleep is the most important, and it's the only time when your body can fully recover. If you think about it, when you're ill, the more sleep you get, the quicker you're going to recover. And the same goes when you've really exerted yourself and you've put a lot of stress and load on your body. You need to have good sleep. So he told me sleep is good. You need to have your sleep good. You need to get massages, physiotherapy, and nutrition has to be so important.
Yeah.
So hopefully, with 8 months of consistency across all of these things, we can achieve that sub 3.
I believe you can. And just to confirm, you're fully okay with all of this, though, like this process leading there?
Yeah, definitely. I'm inviting it. I really want this because, as I mentioned, it's something that I write about every single day. I want this sub 3, and I will get this sub 3. And for me, it's like a lot of people say I have to say no to social things, like going out to a club or going to the pub until late. For me, like going to a pub isn't really my thing anyway. So the only sacrifice would be like if my team's on Arsenal watch, at 10 to 12 p.m, I won't be able to watch them. But apart from that, it's not really many sacrifices because it's something that I want to do. And if the way I look at it is, it's not a sacrifice, it's just things that I have to do to get to where I want to be.
Things you have to do to get there. And I believe because you and I are trying to work on this as our career, because we've started so early on, whereas a lot of people, they can start working by 25, 26.
Yeah.
I think because we've started a bit earlier, that's the only reason why people can misunderstand the sacrifices that we have to make now. Because I think having people in our circle that are still doing their studies or whatever, going out. Yes, I personally want to be going out and see my friends whenever I can, but I do have this limit, which everyone should have their limit of when you should be home by, when you should be asleep by.
Yeah, I think it also goes back to recovery with sleep. It's so important to be going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time in your circadian rhythm. So I think having that limit or that benchmark, okay, as you said, be home by this time is really important.
Yeah.
Because maintaining that consistency, it will just compound and you will see some remarkable results from consistency.
Well, with your run, in comparison from Limassol to Valencia, you're going to have to shave 41 minutes off of your time. Does that excite you, motivate you, or does it make you feel the exact opposite?
Listen, the way I think about Limassol was I was in much better shape than 3:41. So what that told me is that it's just giving me more motivation to prove to myself that I can do a sub 3, you know? Like initially I was going for that 3:15 or 3:09 or 3:12. Those were my goals because it would set a really good benchmark of how much I need to cut down before heading to Valencia. The fact that I didn't get that and it's a lot of time to shave off is a big milestone and it's something I want to do, but it's motivating me and reminding me I did a 3:41, right? I need to really, really work at it and get everything as consistent as possible so that I can get that sub 3. So to answer your question, it's motivation.
Yeah. I think there's two different types of a delusion that athletes could take from this.
Yeah.
For example, I believe you, and I think you're fully correct on how you've approached it. I think you just didn't have the right approach for your marathon, and that's why it didn't go as well as you wanted.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like a lot of people, the unhealthy way of taking it is they could gaslight themselves into believing they could have done better, when in reality, you have to accept that this is unfortunately how you are.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people could have higher expectations, but the truth could just be you weren't how you were on that day.
100%. We talked about this earlier, but race day could just go so many different ways, you know?
Yeah.
But there are things that are in your control, and that's my fault for not maximizing those things that were in my control. But looking back at it now, if you told me last year, because I was gunning for a sub 4 last year in Southampton, and I didn't get that sub 4. But thinking about it now, like if I was to get a 3:41 the year after, which I did this year, I'll be like, wow, that is insane. So it kind of shows that the more you train and the more you get into your sport, that benchmark just keeps getting higher. So sometimes it's really good to reflect on where we were and where we are now, and how past you would be so proud of even running a 3:41.
Yeah. And but for stress, anxiety, or even personal issues, do you think running long distances or just running in general helps you have that distraction?
Yeah, I think any sort of sport really helps with that. I think
I want to rephrase myself, by the way. I don't want to say distraction, but just does that help you
it's
with
like a
your
coping mechanism, I'd say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because like if I'm stressed, or if I don't know, I'm frustrated or angry. I remember I used to do this when I was younger. I would just tell my family, right, I'm stressed, I'm frustrated, I'm going to go to the gym, hit some weights, and I always felt so much better afterwards. And that's because of those endorphins that you get, and that feeling of, I put in the work, I got tired, I accomplished something. And even with running, just going outside and feeling the wind in your face, feeling fresh, and going out and doing something difficult, accomplishing something, is just something that you always feel better off with. And it's better to kind of not sit with your emotions. Like some people do journaling, which is something I do as well. And I feel like that's really good, is putting your thoughts out on paper, but also kind of getting out of your thoughts and getting out of your head by going outside and doing a sport is something that really helps me personally.
Yeah. For journaling, I do think it still is a difference with writing and speaking.
Yeah.
But do you consider when I could, like, for example, I'm talking to my audience through my camera in the car, could that be a sense of journaling?
Yeah, definitely.
By just expressing yourself verbally?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's the same with like, when you go speak to a psychologist, you're telling them about your problems, and that's speaking them. Whether you speak them to a person or whether you speak them to a camera, I
think just saying it, just getting it out.
It's so important, and I think it really helps.
I know a lot of people won't do it, but honestly, if you want to process your emotions and you don't want to speak to someone, maybe just why not give it a try? Try and actually speak out your thoughts, or just write them down.
Yeah.
It's a form of expression, literally. So honestly,
I mean, even now I do it, like I mentioned, you can either do it verbally speaking to someone, or you can do it looking at a camera or anything. Like for me, I also pray at night, so I speak to God. And for me, that's like me talking to someone who knows better, or knows how to help me. And it's sort of like getting that weight off my shoulders. And I always feel so much better after praying, after thanking him, and after telling him some of my issues. Like we're told to express when we are stressed or when we're not feeling our best. And I think it's because of this, because you just feel so much better having that weight off your shoulders. So I think it's so important for anyone to find their way of expressing themselves and getting their thoughts out of their mind, because having your thoughts all caught up in your mind is not a good place to be in.
Yeah, I agree with you, for sure. And I want to move on to now something that we ask all of our guests.
Yeah.
So, what does reaching your peak look like to you?
That is a really difficult question for me. Not in that sense, but because I don't know what that looks like for me. Because I know that once I run that sub 3, I'm probably going to set a different goal, which would be a 255 or a 250. I feel like for me, I'm just a very goal-oriented person. So in anything that I do, once I achieve that goal, it's about what's the next one, which is good, but it can also be against you, because we also do need to celebrate our accomplishments. So I think looking back at that is having a stronger mentality with how to deal with things, or just because I have a lot of self-doubt sometimes before going on a run or before doing something difficult.
Yeah.
So I think it's building a stronger mentality that kind of knows how to cast away these self-doubts or negative emotions that I think we put on ourselves. And if I'm able to do that, I think I'm going to be able to reach a different level.
Okay. And we may have discussed this before.
Yeah.
But what's something else that you had to sacrifice to chase your goals that you have now?
I think what I would say to that, to chase my goals of sub 3 is like there's a lot of things that even just outings with friends, going.
So back to social life.
Yeah, I think social life is one of the biggest things because I think when you're not in an environment where everyone is chasing a goal or is an athlete,
It can isolate you.
yeah, and you feel like you're different from everyone else, and it means that there's a lot of times where you will constantly say no to a lot of things back to back to back, and then
You have to learn to say no.
yeah, and I think people will also get an assumption of you that is wrong because you might be saying no because you want to stay home and go to bed early, but people might be thinking, oh, they just don't want to come out with me.
Yeah, they think you don't care.
But it's not that. It's you're actually just trying to prioritize yourself because you have goals and dreams that you want to achieve. And it's not that I don't want to go out with you because I would love to go out with you, but it's just I have to kind of put myself first sometimes.
Yeah. It is good to find a balance.
For sure.
So I do believe that there can be a balance, but when it comes to specific things, you have to know what is a genuine no. Like a genuine no for you, in my opinion, will be the I can't go out to times past 10, 12.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for a coffee in the afternoon,
That's
for
100%.
example, that's our social interaction, which I'm very happy with.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think it also, I think, comes down to the friends that you're around. Like, if you know that someone is a really goal-oriented person and needs to be in bed by 10, I think there needs to, it's like a couple, you guys need to compromise, Instead of going out really late, okay, why don't we go out in the afternoon, why don't we go for a coffee? And I think that's one way where a group can still continue to function, but just compromising.
Yeah, for social health, each person requires a different type of social interaction.
Yeah.
So for others, they could genuinely need to go to a pub, be in this very public space. Because for them, that's just what benefits them and their character.
Yeah.
For me, for example, in university, and it's probably the same for you now. You can bounce off of me now, but at least for me, genuinely I don't go out at all. I only have my specific circle of my powerlifting team where I go to my trainings, and then I also I also go and study a lot, or I study a lot with Beatrice, for example.
Yeah.
And just being in that specific circle, I'm fully okay with that because I'm doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah, and I think you're around people who also are in a similar space with you. Like with your powerlifting team, they all have ambitions and dreams and goals within their own career in powerlifting. So I think being in that environment is so cool.
Yes.
And I think you guys would also then have very similar ways of thinking about it. So like most of your team won't, like you and Beatrice, for example, will not go out until 2:00 in the morning because you have training the next day. So you guys will both make sure that you get adequate sleep to fuel and be recovered for your training tomorrow.
Being understood like that it's so relieving. It's a very refreshing feeling.
So would advice be to kind of try and surround yourself with those types of people?
Surround yourself definitely with these types of people, but it doesn't mean just because other people aren't the same as you, it means you close them out.
Exactly.
My friend group, each of us individually are very different people.
Right.
But that's what makes us get along so well. That's what's nice to have different friends. You get different perspectives.
It's refreshing.
And I don't want people to misunderstand us, by the way, because you mentioned something before. Yes, what we're doing is different, but it doesn't mean we think of ourselves as different to you.
100%.
It's just if other people could give us the impression that we're acting different, whereas we're just trying to do a specific thing for our future.
Yeah. I mean, just because I have a goal doesn't mean I'm any. I think we are all the same, personally. It's just if someone has a goal, let them try and achieve their goal, or help them try and achieve their goal. I don't think we are any different. I don't think either of any athlete thinks they are. Well, they might be, but I think most people don't think they're any better than someone who doesn't have a goal or an ambition in sports, for example, or doesn't want to, for example, for you, go to Bucks.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you're better than them. It just means that we have different motivations and we have different things that we want to achieve.
Not everyone obviously says the same thing, but one thing I really like when people say is, I'm only trying to beat myself. So the only person you should try to be better than is yourself.
Yeah.
Your past self, sorry.
Yeah, it happens a lot, I think, because we do individual sports, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes, we have our competitors, but at the same time, the only person that we can try and do better than is your past self. So,
Yeah.
for example, with your competitions, if you did better than how you were in your previous competition, that is a success, you know. And the same with me, I did better than my previous marathon, so that is a success. And I think sometimes as individual athletes, we sometimes forget about that, and we sometimes think, but I didn't achieve my goal, or I didn't do this amount on the bar. It's sometimes good to reflect and remember you did better than before. And that's something really important for all of us to remember.
The thing is, at a much higher level now of elite type of... It doesn't have to be elite, but just a competitive atmosphere.
Yeah.
People that are at a high level, the very big majority, it's actually a very good community, and they're very supportive because they understand.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go on to, saying bad things about the people that aren't at that high level, because it's usually the ones that aren't there yet, which could maybe have something to say out of an insecurity. So, although I go to competitions for powerlifting, for example, that's where I actually find a lot of more friends and people I really like. Because although I'm competing against you, that's where I found a lot more friends, and we're adding each other on social media, and we're supporting each other.
Yeah. I remember you told me so many times about the community and the people in your powerlifting competitions.
Yeah, backstage, it's actually fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I think it's really cool when you, even with me at running events, I see so many runners. I met one of the persons that I speak to on social media, Lola. I met her at a race, right? And we've kept in contact ever since. And it's really cool to find people who have a really similar interest, and they're so passionate about that interest as well. And your conversations aren't purely based off that interest, because we're all something more than powerlifting or running.
Yeah. I think misunderstanding, which I asked you in the very beginning, about being misunderstood. I don't like it when people try to have a conversation with me and all they're asking me about is the gym and powerlifting. I'm like, guys, come on. There's more to us.
You know what? Especially for you, because you're quite multi-talented. You're one of the... You love piano, and you're really good at piano.
You were going to say something else.
Yeah. But you're really good at piano. And you're not just fitness, you're not just powerlifting, you're a lot more. And I think that's something that, as I mentioned, I'm trying to bridge on social media, that I'm a lot more than just a running content creator. And that's something that I want to kind of put out. And
it's nice to expand on your personal brand. Not be known for just running. As you said, you don't want to be known for just running.
Especially because I'm not very good at running. I'm above average, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm not an elite level runner. If I was an elite level runner, then fair enough, I can be known for running. But I'm a lot more than that, and that's something that I'm trying to push out on social media. Yeah.
Would you want to expand on your relationship with God, or what else could there be another niche for you?
I think relationship with God is something that I'm trying to put out. I'm a very proud Christian, and I will speak very highly about my faith. And I think it's just kind of understanding how to execute that content. As I mentioned before, it's quite difficult because sometimes there is stuff that you want to put out, and it's just whether the algorithm will receive it in the right way. But it's not just God. I'd love to talk about football because I love football.
Okay, why not?
Yeah. I'm thinking of also starting a podcast on the side with one of my best friends, Janno, about football. Speaking about our clubs. So
that'd be cool.
It's just, again, these are things that loads of people don't know about me, or wouldn't even think to know about me. But I love it. And it's just something that I need to express more on social media.
It's a further way to connect with your audience.
Exactly.
As well.
And someone might relate to me because they have a similar opinion about my club, But because I don't post about it, no one would ever know,
Yeah, for sure. And I want to ask you one more final thing before we move on to quickfire questions.
Oh, I like quickfire.
So, what has been your biggest eye-opening, but in our words, your biggest Mindsight moment?
My biggest Mindsight moment, I would say, is going back to nutrition and how much better you feel by fueling your body right. Because as I mentioned, being on those calories that I was on compared to how I'm on now, I just feel so much more energy throughout the day. I just feel so much happier. And I think it's, again, your hormones and how you function throughout the day that is just so helpful. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I also think I'm so grateful that I found running because it kind of bleeds onto so many other aspects of my life with how efficient I am and just the way I think, because running is something that teaches you a lot of lessons. It teaches you the discipline. It teaches you that you can do hard things, and it bleeds on, as I mentioned, to other things in your life. You know, with uni work, that you can do hard things and you can get a really good grade, or with just doing late night sessions with editing, you can do these things, and it's just about how much you want it and remembering that you are so much more and you can do so much more than you think.
Okay, I like that. Good, very nice answer. I want to go straight to the quick fire.
Come on, I've been waiting for this.
So, if you couldn't do any sports at all, what job would you do for the rest of your life?
Okay, easy one for me, editing.
Straight up.
I love editing, and I think piecing, like especially when I try and do like a documentary style video, I love that. You know, choosing the right music, trying to find the right shots, the filming. It's just such a big, it's such a big journey. You know, actually doing the editing, going from filming to editing to publishing. There's so much to it, and it's about telling a story, and I find that narrative so cool.
I can see it for sure. What is the single hardest running session you've ever done?
Okay, Bano will remember this because I did it with him on the track. Basically, it was pyramid intervals. So he went from 1.2k to 800s to 400s to 200s, and then back up. So it's like So it's like a pyramid. So then you go to 200, 400, 800, 1.2, and it's like by the time you're going back up the ladder, you're already under fatigue and you have to do the same paces as you were doing when you were fresh.
Yeah.
So it pushes you so much. And of course, there's a warm up and cool down. Yes, I think there's a 60 to 90 second rest between each rep, but still, you're pushing yourself really hard.
Okay. And you maybe answer this in one word. Carbon plated super shoes, absolutely necessary or overhyped?
Neither. They're not absolutely necessary, definitely not, but they definitely help.
Okay, sure. But yes or no?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I'm a fan.
What's your best advice for someone who thinks they are too heavy or too slow to start running?
Just start. Because I was pretty overweight when I first started running. I'm still quite an overweight runner, and I'm still running quite fast, I would say, for my weight. So I would say just get started and build up baby steps. If you have to run, then walk, then run, then walk, then do it. Because the most important part is seeing that progress and seeing that journey. Yeah. So if, you haven't even done a 5K yet, and you've something called Couch to 5K, the fact that you run, walk, but then eventually you're going to build up to running a full 5 kilometers. That journey is the most important part because we're all on different journeys. So as long as you're seeing your progress, then go for it. Okay.
Describe the feeling of hitting the wall in a marathon in exactly one word.
Just pain.
I mean, to be fair, what else could it be?
Yeah.
Okay, you're standing on the start line in Valencia in December 2026. What's the song that's going to be playing in your headphones?
I'm a Boss.
By who?
I forgot his name now. Damn it. But it's a really hype song.
I'm a Boss.
I'm a Boss. Yeah. Whoever knows, we'll put like a little snippet of the song right now.
Okay, so. All right, what is your weakest physical attribute right now?
My ankles, they're so poor.
Uh-oh.
Like they just can't support my foot sometimes, especially when I'm going at faster paces, and that's why my foot rolls in a lot. So that's something that I'm trying to work on in the gym at the moment. Very
quickly, as a quick fire, how could you work on that?
So there's eccentric plantar flexion and dorsiflexion.
Okay, buddy.
It's basically the resistance band, and you get your ankle going in different directions.
No, resistance band training is very good for developing that strength.
And it's also the tendons that support all the muscles and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. And as a closing, if you could give a message to the audience, what would it be?
Dream big, you can achieve anything. Go on a journey, and you can find out so much about yourself.
Alrighty. And I actually want to ask one more.
Go on.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully with a personal brand that allows me to, have social media as my kind of full-time job, I would say. And hopefully achieving something that I'm really proud of in running I would like to have run an Ironman in the next 5 years.
You can do it. Bro, you can do it.
Yeah, I know I can. It's just about making that investment, I'd say.
Okay, but what about content creation? Where do you see yourself there?
Do you want me to put a number?
Go for it.
I'd like to have
Bro, all it takes is a few viral videos.
I'd like to have a good like 120k followers.
I believe that's doable by even it could be done in 2 years. It could be done in a year if you're very, very successful. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's just about putting that work in. With social media, it's something that I absolutely love. As I mentioned with the editing part, but just being able to post, you know, my messages and inspire as many people as I can is the most fulfilling thing for me.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I, in fact, learned a lot more, although I knew a lot about your journey myself. So, honestly, if you want to follow Anghelo's journey, go to Valencia, follow him on his socials if you want to say them.
Anghelo George on social media. Make sure to check me out, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Make sure, by the way, hit every button on your screen, like the podcast, follow the podcast, rate the podcast, any buttons that you have on your screen.
Yes, please. It's going to help us so much to grow and bring on bigger names where we can at least get questions from you guys and bring it onto the podcast for whoever you want.
And it's going to make it a lot more engaging and a much better just podcast for you guys. So we've got a lot we want to do with the podcast, and we need your help. So make sure to hit the buttons.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for being on.
Thank you very much. And we'll see you guys next time.
Good shit.